our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth in the flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to a special episode of It Slays Podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
And I am a dead body in the back of your weird ice cream truck, Mike.
And it's Jill.
And if you listened to the episode last week, you'd know we are Coltonless because we are recording this directly after our I Know What You Did Last Summer episode, which is sad. It is kind of sad that Colton doesn't get to be here for this monumentous pick. But that's okay. We'll do without him, and when he comes back, we'll make sure to just look at him and go, boy.
What the fuck?
But Ro is first going to appear to him as a beautiful blonde lady.
Yeah, that's right. Buxom lady. So anyway, yeah, we're here with the Patreon pick. Jill is going to take over Colton duties and explain exactly what this is for anyone that is new.
Yeah, so this is a special episode, an extra episode we do. So if you subscribe to our Patreon at a Horror Hound level for at least 6 months, then you get to pick out a movie for us to review. And that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, so this time around, Nicholas picked for us, our good, dear listener, friend, subscriber. Nicholas coming all the way from Germany and is a staple on the episode. I think anyone listening to this, you hear him every episode, almost. I think he might have the most perfect attendance, which is a reference to the last episode. Yeah, because I think he calls in every episode to the horrific hotline.
And we appreciate it.
He was sick one time.
Oh, but yeah, that's right.
He still gave us a thingy, right? Like,
yeah, I think he gave us like a write-up or something. But yeah, so he sent us his pick. He actually sent a pick that wasn't this film, but it was already in our lineup for this year, so sadly we made him pick something else. And he did, and yeah, so Phantasm from 1979, which I'm very surprised we have not reviewed yet. This is kind of like a heavyweight, like a horror cult classic. So I'm very surprised we haven't picked this yet. But yeah, we asked Nicholas to write us a little blurb about why he chose it, and he did. So I will read it for us. So Nicholas says, I chose Phantasm because over the last year, I really got to love the movie. I saw it once as a teenager and it didn't do much for me, but rewatching it with a new lens and especially watching all the sequels for the first time directly after it, it made me realize just how much love and soul the director and his team put into the movie. For me, Phantasm is not very scary, but it is the definition of a small cult movie that never got the big hype of something like Halloween or Evil Dead. Overall, this movie now is kind of a feel-good movie for me, due to the dreamlike narrative structure and the sometimes beautiful images shown, and all that mixed with the craziness killer, goblins from outer space, and a tall man shouting, boy, a drill sphere, and the most weird trio of heroes to ever fight against the forces of evil. And then he kind of wrote something that was like kind of his rating, and I said I'll skip that because I know he did leave a voicemail to actually rate it. So I will leave it for there. So we are going to get into the trailer for Phantasm from 1979, and we will be back with the synopsis and our first experiences.
The ultimate in terror is here. Phantasm.
If this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. Phantasm, rated R, rated R, rated R, rated R, rated R.
Phantasm, 1979, directed and written by Don Coscarelli, and the synopsis is as follows. If this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. A young boy and his friends face off against a mysterious grave robber known only as the Tall Man, who keeps a mysterious arsenal of terrible weapons with him. So, our first experiences, is this your first time seeing this film, or is this like in your Mount Rushmore of cult horror movie classics, and there's nothing you find more attractive than tall old men looking after cemeteries? Jill, we'll start with you.
Yeah, surprisingly, being a fanatic of old tall men in cemeteries, this movie was never in my arsenal before. I've never seen it before. So yeah, first experience for me. What about you, Mike?
Well, I saw it when I was young. I think one of my cousins showed it to me on VHS when I was like a kid, and I really had barely any memory of it because I was young, I wasn't really paying that much attention. And then I rewatched it, actually, and over all the years of my life that I was a horror freak, for whatever reason, I just never revisited it to actually, have a legitimate watching of it. And it was only a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, when it came out on I think it was an anniversary edition Blu-ray where they had restored it, and it was, looked apparently just totally different from any other print that had ever come out. And I watched it with a friend of mine who was a real big horror fan because they had the Blu-ray, and literally it was essentially like watching it for the first time. So I'm kind of I had seen it before, but to me it was seeing it again recently was a whole new experience. And I still haven't watched the rest of the series, by the way, I'm ashamed to say, but don't roast me yet, it's on my list. What about you, Ro?
Yeah, this is also kind of my first experience with this. I think the first 10 15 minutes of it, and I stopped it because I was I think Exilia might be into this. And I was I saved this movie. I really like kind of the visuals that I saw and stuff. So I saved it for us to watch, and we've never actually sat down and watched it. I've owned this forever. I gave Mike a copy of 1 and 2 of the special collector's edition on Blu-ray, and I own, actually, it's just a cheapo set. Walmart put out all the movies on Blu-ray for $25 in a collection.
What a steal.
So I bought that forever ago, and this is my first time, the first time cracking it open. So yeah, this is my first time actually seeing this film. So I guess with that, we're gonna get into the glasses of beer and metal balls of it all. What are what are they called? Starts with a B, the metal balls you put in your hand or whatever, and they
Benoit balls?
Benoit balls, is that what they are? Do they chime or something?
No.
Do you put them in your butthole
Mike.
also?
Mike.
I was waiting.
That went over his head. He has no idea.
Well, I know the balls. Do you also put them in your butthole
or your vagina?
Or your vagina? I mean, you put them wherever you want. But I was thinking
It's
more.
very goop. It's very Gwyneth. It's very goop.
I thought they had a different name. So I thought that was the name of the ones because villains in movies, old movies, always had these metal balls they had in their hands, and they chimed.
This episode's fucking cursed now.
I like it. What if maybe all these villains, they are these Benway balls or whatever?
Benway.
Wait, Benway. What are they called? I don't know the name. I'm so
Benoit balls.
Benoit balls.
Yeah, for your Kegels.
Kegels by Kegels.
So I kind of like this. I like the thought of maybe just all these villains are just
doing their hand Kegels.
No, it's just they're kind of they're playing with them in their hand, and then when they're off work, they're just shoving them in their butthole. So maybe that's the case. Either way, we're gonna get into our favorite scene and or favorite kill before this gets way too off the rails here.
Oh, it's already, the rails are nowhere in sight.
I know. Mike, we'll start with you.
Okay, so this is gonna sound really weird, but my favorite part is two parts. And there's a lot in this movie that I really like, and there's like a lot that I could say are my favorite parts or favorite kills. Because there are actually kills in this, unlike some of the other movies we do. But I think the thing that like struck me the most was the two parts, I think it's only two, where we are watching the tall man walk from a distance, and he has that like really distinct, strange, like it's not a walk, it's like a stride. You know what I mean? Like he's moving with purpose, and he's so tall and like lanky, and the way that the actor moves is just like it's not like over the top weird, but like it's just strange enough that it's like, okay, this is creeping me out. And the way it's filmed, it's kind of like a bit slow motion, but it also, you can't tell because he's so tall and lanky. And I just find like it just, and then he, in the first one, it's when what's his face, Mike is spying on him in the town, and then he stops and just looks over, and like that just fucking made my skin crawl. Like my hair just jumped off of my skin. And then they do it again later in the movie, and I'm just like, this is such a cool, creepy way to film this villain, and it gives the like full body of him, which is like, you know, they call him the tall man, so it's like, it's really cool to get a like that they use his height as like this slightly creepy element. I just love that. I think it's like so well done, and it's like more movies should do weird shots like that aren't even him doing anything creepy, but he's just being creepy just by existing.
Yeah.
And also it shouldn't be creepy because he's just like walking in town and like going to the store. So it's not him like, ooh, like with the balls or like, you know, doing anything weird in the, you know, funeral home or in the cemetery where you think it would be. It's like, it puts him in this like everyday scenario of just like walking in front of the, like going to the general store for like sugar or whatever. But like, he's just a creepy ass bitch. So yeah, that's the, like, that's probably my favorite part in the whole movie. Because I love it. And I just think that actor is really like cool and charismatic, and I can't take my eyes off him. What about you, Jill?
I don't really have a favorite scene or kill per se. But I guess maybe the first time we see like the inside of the like mausoleum, I guess.
Fantastic.
I really love that set. I think it looks really good for the 70s. It really reminded me of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
You know, like the lodge and everything. It was like very similar. And actually the whole movie, the fever dream quality to it really reminded me of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah.
Big TPE. Big TPE.
Yeah, big TP energy in this movie. What about you, Rowan?
This is interesting because usually we overlap somewhere, but I have a totally different scene. I love, it is in the first half of the film, but like the nightmare sequence the kid has in his bed, and his bed's like in the graveyard, and the tall man is there, but then you have like the hands reach up, like the zombie hands, and they're kind of like pulling them, and I love that scene. It looks fantastic.
It's a great shot.
You know, I guess I'm just gonna float into like the first point I had written down about this movie in general is that I know some of the complaints lodged towards this is that like it's a little shaky narratively and may not like hold together necessarily, but this film to me works so well with like just these like individual nightmare vignettes of like
kind of stitched together.
Yeah, stitched together of scary things. It really reminds me, and obviously, you know, there's a bigger conversation about, you know, this being like an Italian production and that kind of stuff. But like The Beyond, which we just reviewed not that long ago, was kind of the same thing. It's just like all these vignettes of like nightmarish things happening that they tie together with this story. But even separately, I'm like, they look good. I love the feel of them. They're gooey. They're like gross. I really like everything this film's bringing in terms of this, like, nightmare logic.
Yeah, me too. It's funny because I had written several notes about how the narrative, even though it's like kind of a horror sci-fi type of movie, it has big elements that remind me of like a giallo plot, especially like the first 45 minutes or hour or so. Like, yeah, I was like literally you could see the fingerprints of like other movies on this. I don't know if it was like on purpose or not, but yeah, it had like big giallo, big Italian energy to me.
Yeah, well, and it's funny. I think it's funny that Jill, brought up that first scene, because like my first note is like capital letters, like love the look of this mortuary or whatever.
Yeah,
I guess you could call that area, but it's just like I don't know if anyone does this better than the Italians. Like, if anything, in the movies that we have learned, like, just their color palette and like the way they film color is so good. We see that at like towards the end of the movie when they, like all our protagonists like discover the barrels of like the zombie dwarfs or whatever that they're sending back to the home planet. But like that room, I thought that room was fantastic. Like pure white with just the barrels, and it's just like everything kind of popped. But yeah, just everything about this, I love it. Just the color is so fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know what the budget was like for it, but
tiny.
Notes on that, I was gonna say my notes were, you can tell that it was not a big budget movie, but that it was artists that were, like, every person involved with it was an artist, because they were really doing the most you could possibly do on, like, clearly a small budget in every element, especially, like, the sets and stuff. Like, just gorgeous, like, the music, and all that. Like, there's just obviously so much that we'll get into, but particularly, when they first go into the, like, funeral home and you see the, like, marble walls and stuff, and I was like, this would have just been white-ass walls in some other production, right? But, like, it's just these tiny details that actually make a huge difference, and really, like, it just sticks out in your brain, and you're never going to forget the image of, like, that long hallway, right? You know what I mean? And all the, like slabs on the wall of where all the... Yeah, just, like, oh my god, like, just stunning... But so simple. And it's all very simple. It's not overdone. Like, it's, not... The sets aren't busy. They're very minimalist and simple, but, like, intensely well done for, obviously, how cheap they were. And just, like, kudos. Such, like, the sets, to me, make this movie.
Yeah, and I really like that they did that for those parts, because it really helped tie in, making it look surreal and otherworldly. If there's, like, a different planet where, the tall man is from, and these little fucking Willy Wonka zombies, it makes sense. So I'm glad that they did that.
And just to answer your question, the budget was $300,000.
Nice.
For this film. And I did read, like, this is as indie as you could get. Don Carskelly basically he filmed this on the weekends. He rented the film equipment on Fridays because the store was closed Saturday and Sunday, and he wouldn't have to return it till Monday and only pay for one day.
Brilliant. What a scam artist. I love it.
And, like, yeah, just super interesting, because, like, and this is, like, one of the rare times, like, something like this coming just from one guy's mind. Like, he said this is literally, like, he had nightmares, and they were, like, basically the scenes of this movie were, like, nightmares that he actually had. Now, I brought it up, Jill mentioned it also, but there is, I think you can critique a little bit. Like, I think narratively it is doing quite a bit for, it's under an hour and a half, but like, we have these, like, zombie dwarfs. We have the tall man, we have the sphere, obviously, like, the most iconic thing about these films, as this became a large series, is this sphere weapon that, follows you around and drills into your head. But like we have that going on, but then we have like towards the end, like we're finding out, oh, well, the tall man is, from a different planet and he's using these zombie dwarves as slaves on this other planet and he's sending them up, but he's also like, these are all your loved ones and he's shrinking them.
Yeah.
And then we also like, there's also this through plot of when Mike cuts his finger off in the door and then it turns into like the creature, and then we also have like these little creature things that are attacking people. Like I said, I really like the way it's kind of woven into these vignettes, but I think as one narrative it could get messy for some people where it's like there's a lot of things going on. So if you prefer your movie to just be about a tall guy with a sphere killing people as opposed to, having all these other different things going on, I could see where that could be an issue for some people.
That is my issue. So, I might as well go on about it. So to me, the whole movie, in a good way, I mean this, is a bad fever dream. And like I said, it reminded me of Twin Peaks, but it didn't do it for me as much as Twin Peaks because I found the plot like super difficult to follow, and it was a little too obscure for me personally, and it left me with a lot of questions and like very little answers. And I understand leaving things to the imagination, but I feel like there's little to no guidance for the audience here, which some people like about that, which is fine. I know, like, some people don't want everything spoon-fed to them. That's not really what I'm saying. But I was just lost. I was like, who is the tall man? Why is he doing this? Why are you killing people and turning them into dwarven slaves? Why is the finger in the cheese whiz?
God,
like,
cheese whiz.
I get the gist, but I also like don't care enough to like go back and rewatch it again just to like kind of try to find some answers. And maybe the answers are meant to be found, but like, I don't know. It also does appear to have some like nostalgic value. Also being like a cult film. It, on a better note, it reminds me of The Lost Boys because, I just recently watched it, and it's kind of like a coming of age story for a boy, and but this one's way darker than The Lost Boys. But anyway, that's what I have to say about
a boy who's a fucking creeper, just like following
it's
his brother
funny because
around.
Oh my god, big time. But like it's funny that you bring up The Last Boys because I was thinking when I was rewatching it this time that it has the vibe, along with a bunch of other movies from probably about that 10-year period, like The Last Boys, like Stand By Me, like other things. Stand By Me is not really horror, but it's like Monster Squad and things like that, like other cult movies. The Goonies, exactly, that something like Stranger Things references, right? And kind of riffs on. And I thought it's kind of cool when you watch it and go, oh, this is definitely one of the things that they took inspiration from for the vibe and that like summary, something weird is happening, kids trying to figure it out, those damn kids, right? Like, and I thought that was kind of cool because I don't think I noticed that as much before, but I was like, yeah, this is definitely one of those touchstone movies for that teenager coming of age style of horror movie. But The Lost Boys, of course, is on a whole other level. So the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack for this movie was really good, by the way.
Oh, it's excellent. Most of my notes are like the music is fucking awesome.
I'm literally like shopping for vinyl of it. Like I'm obsessed.
I'm sure it's been out a couple times. Mondo or someone.
Mondo has to do it, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I shouldn't expect anything less. Like I said, there's so many lessons we learn from watching more.
Literally,
it's Mondo,
by the way.
Oh yeah, I think
literally Mondo.
But yeah, the music is just, to me, makes it even better. It enhances most of the scenes or vignettes, as I've been calling them. The only time I thought I got it a little too silly was the music. Very like abrupt musical change when we're dealing with the ghost card in the chase. it kind of gives like this silly comedy type score with it. And although, like, you know, I can't say this movie is 100% serious, because I found they did try to intermix a lot of like comedic beats into it, which, like you said, Mike, like you can kind of see how this could imprint on other filmmakers that do like Lost Boys and stuff, things like that, right? Like you could see the influence, because I did find, you know, there was almost like a little lightheartedness to the movie, because it really did have that kind of like, oh, you know, even though the older brother and his friend look like they're like 40 something, I assume they were supposed to only be like
especially
20
Reggie
or something.
Okay, Reggie is old as fuck.
Yeah,
He has a receding hairline
with
the
ponytail,
size of, and he's a creep. I think Reggie. I wanted Reggie to die. I think he's a creepy ice cream truck driver. He's really old, and why is he?
There's no such thing as a non-creepy ice cream truck driver. Apologies to anybody who does that or did it.
But goddamn, Reggie's creepy.
It's so funny because the last time I watched it, I thought that same thing, and this time I was prepared to like, oh god, creepy Reggie, and then I'm like, I don't know why this time I felt a little bit worse for him, but I'll tell you why. So I think I felt more like sympathy for Reggie, or felt like a little bit different about him, because I viewed it this time as through the lens of him and, oh my god, why I'm having a brain fart on the older brother's name.
Is it Jody?
Jody, yes.
Jody.
Him and Jody were like, because, you know, the parents were gone and out of the picture, and the boy is like a lost boy. It was very much like a bit of found family, and they were kind of like my two dads, and it was like, you know, the two gay dads and their son. Especially at the end when you know, it's like, it's just Reggie and Mike, and you know, he's like, I'll take care of you, and it's like, oh my god, I'm just like, this whole lens is like totally changing the movie for me. So I'm just gonna say, Jill, if you do watch it again, watch it through that lens, and you might actually have like slightly different, just a little tiny bit of like a little bit of a homoerotic filter on it, and
I'll do it as like
everything.
Interview with a Vampire, two dads.
There you go. Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. Except Mike is Claudia. Yeah, there you go.
Jeez.
To me, like, it's a shame. I watched it. I just watched this, you know, with my headphones on by myself on my TV. But I was like, man, this would be like a great, like, people over drinking, watching it. Because, like I said, I found, like, even if you weren't, like, necessarily paying full attention to it, like, it's not really too difficult to understand, like, what's going on. Just because a lot of it isn't even overly
Not you calling
connected.
Jill out.
I'm really imploring Jill to give it another chance.
I think I will have to.
I think so. Another thing that I thought was okay, just because I was like, oh yeah, this is like a cool little like trope in these older movies, was like the fortune teller and Sally. Even though
I loved that part, loved it.
I did love it. I was like, even though like I don't know, did you understand, Mike? I didn't really understand. Like, I get he put his hand in the box and it kind of like transported him somewhere, but like, why was that the same as when he touched the whatever
the tuning fork?
Yeah, like it was just like a weird,
because there's a tuning fork just like at the beginning when Reggie's tuning his guitar, and it does a close-up of him dinging the fork to, anyway.
And I just felt they were kind of underused. Like, I was like, this like fortune teller grandmother 100%. And Sally, like they don't really have any bearing into the story other than,
and they were serving their like little tattoos and stuff were gorgeous.
Oh yeah, they were.
And it's funny you say they were underused, because A, they were, and B, okay, no, first I'll say it was obviously just for the callback of, you know, them saying, let go of your fear.
Yeah.
Right, obviously. But also, I this brings me to one point I need to make, because I do have a lot of really good things to say about this film, but one of them is the women. They get their moment at the beginning of the movie, and then for the rest of the film, it is like the only time a woman comes into it, they're completely disposable and like helpless and thrown off and then forgotten about. And you know me, I don't love movies where it's like all men, unless it's something like Fire Island. But there was a distinct, that is a whiff. That is a scent that taints this movie, and it's one of the only negative things that I really have to say about it is the very distinct lack of women. Yeah.
Agreed.
Too many men. Too many men are just always stink up a movie. Always. It's just, the testosterone is...
I absolutely agree.
I was gonna say, I was kind of questioning the mechanics of everything. So, like, she's credited as the lady in lavender. Kathy Lester is the actress's name. So, you know, when Reggie and them, like, break in, in kind of the third act, and then they touch, like, the two tower, the, like, balls or whatever, but, and then it kind of, like, it shocks her, where, like, she's in the cemetery. I guess I was a little confused because at first I was like, is the tall man transforming into the lady in lavender? Like, is that what's going on here? Or is she an actual person?
No, it was him.
It was him. So he's banging these dudes.
Yeah, and which again gives another layer to that lens I was just saying you should rewatch the movie under.
Yeah.
I read a Letterboxd review that said something like that. Don't you hate it when you're banging your girl in a graveyard and it turns out to be like some guy or something? Yeah. So like, I was like, what?
I'm fine with that. I just wanted to make sure I understood that correctly. So, I mean, that's fine. Also, I kind of thought, like, the caretaker and the tall man, like, are definitely related, definitely brothers or something. Like, not the real people, but very similar looks, similar hairstyles.
Yeah.
Other than, like, one wears, a Canadian tuxedo and...
Oh, not the Canadian tuxedo. As made famous by Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, there you go. But I gotta kind of agree with you, Mike, when we first dug into this, just how good the tall man is. Like,
yeah,
as someone that, like, I'm a sucker. I don't know about you guys, but I was always a sucker when I was a kid for, like, I remember I actually own it on DVD now, but they put out, like, a series. It was called Boogeyman, and it's kind of like trailer movies that just play trailers, but Boogeyman just played, like, a greatest hits list of kill scenes from horror movies.
Yeah.
And, like, there's so many things like this in, like, the 80s, 90s, and the tall man is always in it. Like, he's always kind of in that peripheral vision of, like, iconic horror villains. And like I said, this being my, like, kind of first time experiencing him and not really understanding when I saw those short clips, like, I don't really get it, but, like, I do get it, because like you said, Mike, I think he was pretty good at being, like, terrifying, like, just how odd he acts, how bizarre. Like you said, he walks, that scene where he's, like, smelling the air, like, essentially just, like, smelling Mike's fear from across the street, but never
sorry, I just farted.
But never looking at him, like, never actually acknowledging that he sees him, but just knowing he smells him. Like, just great. Tall man, great iconography.
Well, I mean, and that's what, like, a good horror series that, like, has any kind of longevity hinges upon, usually is the charisma and, like, magnetism of usually the villain, because that's usually the common thread. So I think, that's they found a really interesting, unique human being to play this role, and it's just such a strange role as it is that, it's like, really, there's not a whole lot else like it in a horror series, I don't think. So kudos to Angus and Don for the role.
I'll be interested to like, go through and watch the rest of these now.
Yeah, I really need to watch them. I mean, you gave me the one that has number 1 and number 2, and I still haven't watched number 2. So
yeah, I might even have to, like, go watch 2 tonight or something, because even from what Nicholas said, like, he claims that this kind of becomes, like, more and more narratively clear as you go on and kind of builds on the lore. Because I mean, I'm sure, when you're spending $300,000 on a movie, they probably didn't expect this to just, like, take off and create, like, there's like 5 or 6 sequels to this. And I'm pretty sure, like, this is one of those films, too, that, like, you always hear rumblings every couple of years about, like, studios eyeing this for like a remake or something like that, which I don't know how I would feel about that. I never know, like Italian horror to me doesn't really suit being remade because no one's ever really gonna do it as good. It's not gonna have a music as banger as this, but I mean, I guess whatever.
Listen, never say never. You never know, but the odds I think are slimmer than we want to admit.
So, how did, I know Jill, you called them what do you call them? Like Oompa Loompa?
Oompa Loompas from hell.
From hell.
And that guy's Willy Wonka.
Yeah, how did everyone...
And Oompa Loompas are already from hell, so that's saying something.
How did you guys, like that for, like little villains? Although, I kind of felt bad for them once I found out they were like slaves.
Yeah, does that make them villains?
But I mean, they were still attacking people. They were still trying to like kill people with cars. So I'm not sure like how.
Yeah, but to be fair, they weren't doing a very good job.
Yeah, no, they were pretty bad at it.
I won't hold it against them.
I think they were an interesting concept. I would have loved to have seen it fleshed out more, but as you're saying, I guess I just need to watch the rest of the series and shut the fuck up.
Did you want to spend more time? I never said that.
No, this is me.
Do you want to spend more time on the planet? Is that like, do we need more time to like find out about the planet and how this guy's
I want to know
alien?
the motives. Yeah, that's the shit I want to know. That's my issue with the movie is like, all this stuff is great, but I need more to kind of process it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think you're being reasonable, Jill. You're being a reasonable person. Did you guys have any other notes on this one? Or
I also wanted to say I really enjoyed the photography of the movie.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's one of the elements that they did a wonderful job with. Again, considering the fact that it had no budget. And clearly was shot practically guerrilla style. I really appreciated that. It wasn't something that was really over the top, like, a Dario Argento movie or something, but I just wanted to say that I really appreciated it. I thought it was mostly incredibly well done. So, yeah.
Yeah,
kudos to the
I think
photography.
cinematography wise, this does look really good. Especially for such a low budget film. Everything looks super crisp.
The lighting is
the lighting was fantastic. I like that it let it be dark in some spots. There were some shots of the funeral home and Mike's house and stuff where it would have been really easy to kind of lighten it a bit so that you could see more around it. But I liked how dark they I wouldn't say let it be. I'm sure because of the budget constraints, they're kind of using more natural light. But it helped create that kind of nightmare fuel feeling with everything kind of surrounded in the dark and harder to see in some of those scenes. So, yeah, do you guys want to go into rating this film? So if you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Let's start with you, Jill.
Oh, no. Okay, I just want to say, I mean all of this with no hate and respectively.
Nicholas, take it as hate. She's coming at you.
This is nothing personal. I mean, it's a mixed bag for me. I feel it has the vibe and the atmosphere and the potential to be a good movie, personally for me. But it's held back by the acting, the plot. I think it's cool looking. I think it's creative. I think it sounds good. But ultimately, it wasn't something I personally enjoyed. It wasn't for me. I'm very sorry to say this is my first nay.
Oh my
God. Jillian.
I know.
Wow.
Colton is not going to believe
sorry.
he missed the first nay.
Respectively, nay.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Okay, so I'm actually gonna give it a hesitant slay. To go the complete opposite direction.
Oh my God.
And listen, the last time, listen, like you said, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. There are definitely some things about it that kind of drove me nuts. Like I said, the women thing being a big one, but I don't know. This is a movie that to me, like, I wasn't bothered by any of the incoherencies. Like, I kind of got off on the inconsistency and not knowing things, and I don't know, that's never bothered me, so I'm fine with that. And I liked the dreaminess of it and the surreality. And to me, this movie is getting a sleigh essentially from vibes. It's a vibe sleigh. Yeah. And I like, if a movie really hits me with like a certain vibe, I don't care, like the few quibbles that I have with it I can put aside. Like, I will be watching it again for sure. And I don't know, there's some layers to pick at here, so I'm really I don't know if I want to watch the rest, because I feel like they're not going to live up to the same vibe, but I love the vibe so much that I do want to go and watch the rest of the series. So yeah, I'll give it like a sleigh. Maybe it might drop a bit next time I watch it. Maybe it'll stay the same. I don't know. But Ro, what do you think? I need to see what's you're gonna be the deciding factor here now on our like consensus tonight.
I know I've got two on the total opposite end spectrum here.
I love this for us, by the way.
Yeah, this is a great look. Like I said, I really enjoyed watching this, especially for a first time watch. I can't believe it took me this long to get to this, just because, you know, this is like everything I look for, like a banger soundtrack. I love all the nightmare vignettes. I thought the antagonist was creepy. I love, you know, we didn't talk a lot in the main review, but I just love that sphere as a weapon. I thought it was cool. It's like definitely different and so unique. I'm interested to see how they expand on the ball, or if they do anything different in the other ones. But yeah, and the coloring, just this was definitely my vibe, and I had a really good time watching this. And I think I'm also gonna give it a sleigh.
Holy
nice.
Shit. I'm such a shitbag.
Yeah, I really like this. I was hovering at like a very high yay, but I really like this. There wasn't many things that I could pick apart from it, and I was just thinking, like, the Beyond I gave a yay, and I really like the Beyond, and like I think I might like this better than the Beyond.
Oh wow.
So I just feel like a sleigh is the only way to.
But that's the thing. It's got a similar vibe.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I find, yeah.
Just fantastic. So yeah, 2 sleighs and a nay. So unfortunately,
baby's first nay.
Baby's first nay.
That's right. We love it for you.
Well, you know what? Eventually I'll go back and I'll give it another shot with maybe a more open mind and the things that you guys have said. And, you know, maybe that will change. But, you know, this watch, I just wasn't really feeling it. So.
That's all right.
It happens. Yeah, exactly.
So, normally for these episodes, we don't do any, like, horrific hotlines or anything. But I did give it Nicholas a chance. I said, if you want to call in and actually give it a rating and stuff, like you normally would do, go ahead, man. You technically paid for this episode, so really we should just do whatever you want, which I'm sure wasn't to give it a nay. But that's all right. Yeah, so we will see what Nicholas had to say for his rating of it.
Hi, so I wanted to take a minute to talk about Phantasm, which is my pick for the Patreon movie pick. And I chose the movie not because it is the best horror movie, but more because it kind of has a special place in my heart. And I have to admit, it's not a perfect movie. Far from it. There are a lot of weird edits that maybe kind of make sense when we think about the dream logic of the movie, and love them, but the actors are not the best. But overall, it just has this eerie quality to it. It has this incredible theme that kind of reminds me a bit of Carpenter's Halloween theme. It has some really great scenes in the mausoleum, for example, with the sphere drilling into the head of the grave robber, I think, which is probably the best kill in the movie. And it is just a weird mix of horror and of science fiction elements, but it also feels a bit like something out of a Stephen King novel at times, or something that Wes Craven would later pick up with his Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And it is a fantastic movie just to watch it as it is. but also to see it in the context of the franchise, which is 5 movies that more or less always have the same cast, and except for the last have the same director and the same crew, and overall the movie just fits perfectly within that setting. And if you get a bit into the development of the movie and of the franchise, it just makes so much fun to rewatch them later and to just see how this group of, well, filmmakers bonded over almost 30 years making those 5 movies. That was my brief talk about Phantasm. Hope you guys enjoyed it, or at least got something out of it. If not, I'm sorry for picking it. Maybe you'll get something out of Phantasm too.
See, he knew. He was like, one of you guys is going to love it, so he's got faith that one of us is going to pick Phantasm 2 in the future, which might be me.
Maybe it'll be Jill.
Added out of his blurb at the beginning that he wrote us, but I noticed he didn't actually say what he rated it in this. He did tell me that even though probably nobody would slay this, which obviously he doesn't know me and Mike well enough, he said for him personally, it definitely is a slay for him personally as a film. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that we could talk about a film that is special to you, Nicholas, that is now, at least special to me. You don't have to worry about the rest of these guys. Me and Mike got your back.
Listen, even though I made it, I got something from it, so don't feel bad for picking this.
I could totally see you like reconsidering it the whole time we were talking about it. So that's
I was like, it's a nay, but it's leaning towards an okay. But I just gave I Know What You Did Last Summer an okay, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I enjoyed it that much. So I'm like rationalizing it. It's not that I didn't like the movie. Like, I can appreciate parts of it. It just wasn't something like, it wasn't just my cup of tea. That's all.
You weren't vibing with it at this point in time.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I like. You know what? I like to think that you're here balancing us out because Colton isn't here to do it. So you've brought the rational thinking as me and Mike just go from the heart off the vibes and have no consideration.
Literally,
for
I'm
anything.
like, it's a vibe movie. Yeah.
It's all about how you feel.
Yeah.
It's how something makes you feel. That's how you rate it. That's how I rate things. So
that's right.
I totally get the vibes.
So if you are not following us on social media, do so at It Slays Podcast anywhere. We're on Facebook, X, Tumblr, Slasher, Threads. I'm sure I'm probably missing some, but or Letterboxd also. If there is a social media, we're probably on it. And if not, we'll probably get on it. So make sure to follow us. And why don't you let everyone just know again how they can become a horror hound, Jill?
All right. You mosey on over to Patreon and pick a level to subscribe to. And you can become a horror hound and get a movie for us to review after 6 months, or you can check out our episodes 48 hours in advance, and also you get access to a show that me and Rowan do called Stream Screams. And as always, shout out to our lovely patrons, Holly, Nicholas, Patrick, Mark, Sacrotype, Joy, and Carvey.
And if you want to get your spooky music on, you can go to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that we mentioned, and from there, you can click on the Linktree link, and it'll take you directly to it. We upload music from iconic horror movies, or horror movies we reviewed, or just horror movies we love, whether that is licensed music or score. I can tell you for sure we will be putting bangers from this on that playlist, because you need some Phantasm music on your shit for Halloween. So
also while you're like doing dishes and
or doing anything, just I hope people go and they're like, you know what, It's me. I'm having a alone night with my special someone. We're going to make sweet, sweet love, and we need some Phantasm playing while that's happening. And I hope we can bring that joy with our playlist for you. And then when that's done, if you're still in the hot, heated moment, you can listen to the theme song from Killer Clowns Outer Space while you're at it. But that is it for this episode. Thank you for all the support. We'll let you know, I don't know, in another month, we'll be back with another Patreon pick, I'm sure. So if there's a movie, like we said, you're dying to hear us review, sign up, become a horror hound, and then you get to pick a movie and we get to review it. And it could be a movie that you just want us to hate. And you're like, I hope they hate me for picking this. And we'll still watch it. So, yeah, do that. As always, I am your boy, Rowan.
Thanks a lot. It's Mike.
And I'm your finger in cheese whiz, Jill.
See you later.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
But the prime time gets.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.